Hi guys, it's Joey Rowan, and this video is going to be called Spirit Talks, and is a VR in part to BBBchick and Midnight 1967, and is also something that has sort of been requested a few times. People have emailed me and sort of said, how do you know when spirit is talking to you, or how do you know when it's right, or how do you know when it is a certain goddess, and it's that sort of talk. Just my opinions, just some thoughts on the matter, because I watched the video that the two ladies did together. It was fantastic. It was really funny as well, and they brought up in part this idea that some, knowing when it's spirit talking to you versus knowing when it's your own ego or your own selfish wants and desires and beliefs, perhaps, rather than spirit talking to you. So I thought I would just talk a little bit about it as I see it and as I've experienced it. And it's only me, it's only my experiences with it, so bear with me with that first and foremost. So in my experience, spirit rarely tells us to do really egocentric things. And if a thought or desire seems more selfish than sensible, then generally speaking, I would suggest that's more likely to be your own selfish wants and desires rather than spirit speaking to you. If you consider not the purpose, but the body, the entity that is spirit, that is goddess, deity, why do we connect with a higher power, with a higher spirit, with a higher plane of existence? To be better people, to better understand the world around us and within us, and to understand more, to gain knowledge, and to apply that in such a way that makes us better people and try and make the world around us a better place. And that is the higher ideals, I think, of connecting with deity and spirit. And anybody that goes about it with a very selfish intention, and it's not about that for them, it's about making themselves better off in such a way as it's only about me, a selfishness, to make money, and nothing else. I think that is one of the key reasons why when someone says spirit spoke to me and it's to do with just financial gain for them, forget it. It's not spirit there, because pure financial gain is usually, not always, but usually at the detriment to someone else when it's a quick money scheme, or it's treading on whoever to get what you want. That sort of impulse, the urge to be really, really rich and have loads and loads of stuff, is not going to be coming from spirit, because that is a human conditioned response of greed. So, if you're thinking, is this message... Now, that's not to say that spirit wouldn't encourage you to live better, embrace your skills, and if the desire and opportunity to financially support yourself came about through your skills. So say you were really great at crafting X, Y, and Z, candles, incenses, soaps, foods, cakes, whatever, and you then pursued a love of that, and made it into a career as well, for the primary reason that you love it and for the important reason that you need sustenance, a roof over your head, and to support yourself and your family, then that's less about selfish desire to have and accumulate, and rather to live in the world which we need to live in. The other thing I think is a real misinterpretation of messages of spirit is when we start behaving detrimentally or negatively or aggressively towards other people. The goddess and God, as a deity, spirit, however you want to see it, are mother and father to everybody. everybody. And it is my honest belief that they are not going to encourage one of their children to behave badly, aggressively, and negatively towards others. That is not to say that you take a load of crap from other people. You are responsible as a daughter or son of the goddess and god to look after yourself in every way there is possible, and in so doing honor the deities, because they have gifted you with life, with this body, with this mind, with this spirit and soul, and it is your obligation and should be your joy to live life to the fullest, to find joy around you, to bring joy to other people. And accepting a load of crap from other people isn't living on a higher path, really, is it? It's accepting a load of negativity, criticism, not positive criticism, but just nastiness, negative energies, bleh, onto yourself, which you shouldn't be accepting. You should keep yourself cleansed and protected and safe. And that's true in every realm. In the physical realm, you should keep yourself physically safe, physically well. And in the spiritual realm, you should be keeping yourself spiritually safe and spiritually well. So there is the key difference there to keeping yourself on a sort of an enlightened path of a sort of a purity of self. So by which I mean you're not going out of your way to hurt other people. That's not what spirit is going to want you to do. You're not going out of your way to tread all over other people and be as selfish as you can be, because it's not just about you. You have to look after yourself and protect yourself and walk in your path of the goddess. But there are plenty of other sons and daughters of the goddess that you should at least be considerate of. In that, I think, as a witch, we have a higher moral responsibility. And why I say higher moral responsibility is because we are aware, and we maybe naturally and certainly through research, we are aware of the repercussions of our actions. We are aware of how energy influences others. We are aware of how our actions and our words can spread like wildfire and affect others. And I think there is a moral responsibility from the divine innately given to govern ourselves in such a way which isn't creation of drama, negativity and tension, particularly within communities of people who are also aware of this. Having spirit speak to you, to me, is a moving, emotional experience. Whenever I have felt a little push from the divine, it sort of comes in a way where you don't quite know where it's coming from and you don't quite understand it, and sometimes you think it's a little bit odd. I've had messages from the universe and it's just pop into my head and I'm like, what? I'm like, really? Yeah, really? Okay, I'll do it. And then it works out. But it's sort of messages that you wouldn't have come across, and there's a feeling of rightness, like click, and it feels right. In here, up here, and all around, like a crazy person. I am not. Apologies, but often when I'm in direct communication with deity, I start flooding my eyes out. It's like it's involuntary. It's like I am so emotionally moved, bawl my eyes out. That won't happen to everybody. Don't wear mascara when in direct communication with spirit. But it's that emotional push. It's like a pushback. It's very difficult to describe it. I'm trying my best. It's like I get this feeling as well, like when I sometimes listen to classical music, and this is the best way I can describe it. because this is a sense of spirit in connecting with the music, which is the beauty and the fluidity of all things, which is another way of connecting with spirit, basically. And you can close your eyes and you can almost see the music, and you can see the colours and the swirls, and sometimes it'll evoke mental images and thoughts. And so like maybe you're listening to a piece of music and you'll get images of, I don't know if you can hear, the birds have all just started making noises at me. Listen to us instead. And you get images. So maybe you're listening to a piece of music and it conjures up images of being like snowy and cold, and the snow swirling about in that sort of motion. And it's the music and the energy and the vibrations of the music are moving like this, maybe, and within the frame of your psyche, and that sort of clicks into ideas of snowflakes falling in that sort of pattern, and then those images are conjured up. So that's the best way I can think of describing how it sometimes feels, and all your senses get involved and it starts clicking into place. I've had warnings from spirit 2 or 3 times in my life, and it's scary. It's very, very scary. And I will actually share one that's not mine. It's my sister's. There was a really awful situation that happened in my life, and my middle sister wasn't at home when it happened, and she was due to come back that night, and she got a thump of energy, and she literally apparently sat on the bed and had felt this and sort of sensed this message like, do not go home. Do not go home. And at first she was going to ignore it, and then she had a wave of nausea come over her and she had to sit down. And that, long story short, is the correct place for her to have been, because it would have been a lot worse had she been there. She didn't and doesn't cope with situations the same way that I would. She would get very, very angry and things would get worse. And spirit just warned her to stay where she was, hook, line and centre, and she did. And then I've had weird things like, it's some of them is small and it's like intuition, and people just sort of, they dismiss it as like intuitiveness, like you know who's on the phone before it rings, or something like that, you know who's coming to the door. And what that actually is like a little connection through spirit to the other person. It's like a tug, so it's like a little spiritual tug from another person, and it's like that. Like, I'm very connected to my middle sister, who I mentioned earlier, and we have a spiritual connection which I can see as a visual cord, purple, to my sister. And like, we get a sense of if the other one's upset or needs the other one, and that is spirit telling us. Like, our connection of love is bound in spirit, and therefore when one of the others needs it, or something is happening, there is a spiritual and the other one will know, and the phone will ring or whatever. Some communication will then take place. Or I sometimes have spiritual warnings, like I said, and the one of my sister was a major one, and I've had warnings where I've had like flashes of images of people doing stuff. And one, I got very woozy and went and lie down, and I had a dream of 2 pairs of hands doing a spell, and there were definite rings on the fingers. And I contacted my middle sister again because it was something to do with her, and I told her about the fingers and the rings, and it was some people she had known in America, and she recognised the rings, and they were spiritual workers, and we knew that they were up to something, and therefore set up your protection. So, you know, visual dream-like messages do come across through spirit. So we've had messages to protect ourselves, and when someone you love dearly is in need of you. I also sometimes get little messages like little fun messages, little silly things, little happy, joyous stuff, or little spiritual pushes like, you need to do this today. You need to sit down and do some writing. You need to record this video. You need to not record this video. I've had that before. Like, if I made some stuff for the Morrigan, and I was originally going to put it on the YouTubes. This is months ago, and I got a little bit of an uneasiness, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't. But I thought, oh, I don't know, maybe it's me being silly. And then the web camera wouldn't work. So I took that as a very definite sign not to do this. And then I thought about recording something else, which wasn't the same thing, but it was to do with it. And the audio cut out on the video camera. And I was like, right, bye. don't record them. But if in doubt of whether or not it's spirit speaking to you, and people tend to know, right? Like, and people tend to use it as an excuse. Like, I did this because spirit told me to, and I don't care. So the goddess is on my side, so F you. And I hate to say it to you, but anybody using the goddess's name like that is going to be in trouble with their goddess, because like it's a complete disregard of another goddess daughter or another goddess son feelings, emotions, or whatever you're doing to get at people. To use deity, which is, you know, some higher physical form, much more knowledgeable, much more full of love and consequence than you, a human being, is such a mistake. Is such a mistake. And if you see anybody doing that, just be like, good luck to you, because down the road, you keep doing that, you're going to see some consequences, and they will see consequences of that. It will happen, because deity is all-seeing, all-knowing, all thing, and you can get little cosmic slaps in the arse, and you will. I have. Not from... I try very, very, very hard not to upset the balance. I try, but sometimes I slip because I can be quite judgmental, and I have plenty of failings. And sometimes I think, oh, I shouldn't have said that. And if I feel bad about it, I tend not to get cosmically slapped. But if I tend to completely blasé or not realise, and then the universe will be like, and something will happen. Everything works out in the end. Spirit can tell you off. It's you know, it's a parent-deity relationship. As full of love as it is, you start abusing your gifts or whatever, you will get a little cosmic, in my opinion and in my experience. So, the best way to tell whether or not you think a message is truly coming from spirit, first of all, is to ask yourself and meditate on it, or just go inside yourself, right? By which I mean, be calm, be quiet, go to a place where you feel peaceful and spiritual, whether it be out in nature or whatever, and just go inward and concentrate on the question and focus and analyze it from, you know, use your skills up here and in your heart and go over it and process it and question it. Is this me being a selfish, or is it really truly a message? I have never ever had a selfish message from the universe. So if there is selfishness involved on whatever level, and you know it, because as free thinking adults we know when we're being selfish, that's not a message from spirit. I have never ever had a direct message from spirit telling me to do something specific. Like, for instance, if I was back in the day when I was thinking of getting out of the relationship with somebody, not my current one, he sat over there. Not you, darling. Back when I was in a negative relationship with an ex, I would ask spirit what to do, and spirit wouldn't tell me. And basically it was like, it's your lesson, it's your decision, here are some options, you know, like quite often spirit will work in that way, like give you hints and pushes and little inklings and, I don't know, little messages, symbols and signs, basically, and it's up to you to take everything on board, you might start seeing little things everywhere. Like when I was on the way to discovering that the Morrigan was my matron goddess, there were crows and feathers everywhere. Everywhere, and especially in doorways. And that, you know, that sort of thing. It is not. I've decided I don't want to be your friend anymore. So Spirit told me that you're not a very good person, so I'm not going to speak to you anymore. Bye. That is a selfish decision, whatever you want to call it, and if that is your decision, sit there, own up to it, be truthful, because being dishonest, especially in the name of Spirit, is a bad idea. Not good. So I'm going to leave that now because I am pressing on for time. So if you haven't already, go check out BBBchick and Midnight Mists video, which is this is a partial response to, because it's so good and it's so funny. And I hope this made some measure of sense. Talking about Spirit, I always tend to go like this in a spiral. I know what I mean. I don't know how well it comes on video. So that's it for this video. Many blessings.